It's a new day, the channel where we talk about the real ideas to help you and us grow personally, professionally, and financially. We are your hosts, Sullivan.
Sean Loetscher.
We're happy to have you back. Today's topic that we're going to be talking about, self-growth, personal happiness. First off, we wanted to touch on and say that we really appreciate all the comments that we got on the first video. It makes us feel real good. It makes us feel like what we're doing is really helping and impacting a lot of lives, and a lot of people out there. We got a lot of emails into our Gmail account that actually we have to update people. We have to change. We're going to have to change that. It's going to be grind@theamericagroup.com. That is simply due to legal and correspondence problems that it has to be an archived email, which is no problem at all. So any further comments or any further things that you would like to touch base with us and talk about on a personal level, just again, grind@theamericagroup.com.
Three talking points we're going to talk about today is internal motivation and drive is first. The second one is planning, finding a vision, and goal setting. And the third is the Four Agreements book by Don Miguel Ruiz. This is an awesome book. I was not much of a book reader until this year, but this is a preferred book I like to read. It's got about 3 paragraphs a page. Very
not overwhelming.
Yeah, very personal things.
So 2 questions that we're going to answer with these talking points are, why do we feel that these talking points are important to learn? What impact are they going to have on our lives? And secondly, where have we, if at all, experienced these in our lives? If we haven't experienced them in our own lives, where have we seen them in other people's lives or in other scenarios that we have encountered throughout our life? So let's get right into it. So the first talking point, like we said, is internal motivation and drive. This is something that is extremely important in creating yourself as what we would say to be a powerhouse. What gets you going? What is the force that you have pushing you to getting things done and to accomplishing things throughout your personal career, your personal life, your professional career, and your financial world? So Sean, what does motivation mean to you?
So to me, motivation is more of an internal fire or desire to do the monotonous tasks, even though sometimes I don't want to.
The reason that we specified in stating internal motivation instead of just motivation in this talking point is that internal motivation is actually harder to achieve. One example that we would like to use here is an example of someone who we talked about in our last video, David Goggins, and the fact that when he works out, he does not listen to music. He believes that the music is giving him the motivation to work out hard and get a lot done and get a good sweat going. But he says, what happens when the music stops? He sees he used an example, I believe, of UFC fighters. They're going to listen to music as they're walking up to the ring, and they're going to always fight and practice with music going on. But when that music stops, you're out of your element. You are outside of your traditional habitat, if you will. And he wants to always prepare as if he is in that fight. And of course, you're not going to have music playing in a back alley when some big scary dude's coming after you.
Yeah, it's always easy to get amped up when something's playing in your music and your favorite song's going on and you're just, going with the flow. But what happens in the situation where you may be at work, you're stuck in a sticky situation, and you just have to find something else inside of you because there's nothing else around you to, motivate you to complete the task.
One thing that we'll ask you guys to do, actually, with this first point, the internal motivation and drive, is let us know in the comments what gives you an internal motivation. What drives you to become the best you, whether that be in your personal life, in your professional life, or creating a good financial future for yourself.
A good example of just your purpose and your why. That drives most people. It drives me from the day to day, but sometimes I need something other than that. I need something a little bit extra to give me another extra boost.
Yeah. A good quote that I found that I felt related really well to internal motivation and drive, it says, the ability to discipline yourself to delay gratification in the short term in order to enjoy greater rewards in the long term is the indispensable prerequisite for success. This is by someone named Brian Tracy, who Sean is actually familiar with. So
at the beginning of 2020, I read a book by Brian Tracy called Eat That Frog. I was a big procrastinator before that point. Until reading that, he just talks about, the frogs are your tasks that you have to get done within a day. And he talks about eating or doing the bigger tasks in the morning or early afternoon when you're more coherent. We have a lot more energy then, and as the day starts to dwindle away, we kind of lose that energy, we lose that drive, and we lose that motivation.
That transitions us greatly into our second talking point, which is planning, finding a vision, and goal setting.
I'd like to just read a quote by Warren Buffett. By failing to plan, you're actually planning to fail. When you're planning and goal setting, it's always very important, at least I believe it is, to keep the end in mind. You always want to have a vision of where you're going to land, so when you land there, you know you've made it.
To give you a good example of that is actually these videos that we're making. We know our end goal is to relay information from us to the audience on, what we can do to help ourselves grow. But we have all of our videos outlined. We actually have on our computer screens what we're going to be talking about, all the quotes that we throw in there, it's all outlined, and it makes the process go a lot smoother and a lot easier on our brains. We don't have to think as hard to try to come up with something on the spot.
That, and hopefully the information just relays a little bit better to you guys as well, in a little bit more of a chronological order, if you will. Another aspect of planning and goal setting that I always like to take into consideration is the benefit of high expectations. So planning big is good. It kind of ties into keeping the end in mind. You always want to know the perimeter of where you're going to land. But having those higher expectations will get you higher actual results.
So not only for yourself should we give ourselves high expectations, but in working, for example, with Sean. I expect greatness from Sean. I expect Sean to do a lot. And so if I am giving him the benefit of a high expectation by expecting him to do a lot, it's going to help him. Because I'm not expecting him to meet the bare minimum. I want him to go up and above, to really expand himself, and especially in the line of work that we are in, we're benefiting others as well. So we want to touch on goal setting. Not only should goals be set, but those goals should be what we call, or what everyone calls, as a SMART goal. SMART is an acronym, stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. A SMART goal is something that is easy to set, easy to understand, and I wouldn't say easy to achieve, but easier to achieve than just any goal of saying, I want to be good at this. You can say, well, actually, an example that we have here would be to run the Boston Marathon in under 4 hours, exactly 6 months from today, in order to stay healthy. So we can see that our goal is specific because we're saying we want to run a marathon to stay healthy, and it's you doing it. It's measurable because we are running 26.2 miles. It's attainable because the average person to run a marathon is about 4 to 5 hours. Relevant to staying healthy while you're young. If you're a runner, then running marathons is just something you do all the time. And it's time-based. We're going to train to run for 6 months from today until that marathon. So it's very easy to map out, very easy to understand, and to hold yourself accountable to it. So we all like to daydream, and we all like to think and aspire towards something amazing, for example, driving a Lamborghini. We could all dream that we want to drive a Lamborghini one day, but it's different to dream about that and to set a goal to drive a Lamborghini. Sean, what would you say is the difference between a dream and a goal?
I would say they're very, very similar with one small touch. I would say that a goal is something that is written down. I like the SMART goals because it makes it very specific, very measurable, and very realistic to achieve. Other than that, if you don't want to do that, that's no problem, but taking the extra step to write it down, seeing it every day, at least knowing what you're going to have to work for, it's going to be more in the front of your mind than just lingering in the back.
There's a classic picture out there that everyone's seen, hopefully we can get on the screen somewhere, that shows an iceberg. We can only see 7/8 of the iceberg above the water, and that's the success portion. People don't realize how much is going on below the water, or behind the scenes, of the work that that person or that business or whatever put in to become successful.
When I'm planning and goal setting, I like to take little bite-sized chunks. So I like to focus on going from 0 to 10 first. Once I'm going 10, I'll start focusing on going 10 to 20, and then 20 to 30, and 30 to 40, and so on, until I get to 100. Most people will never even notice 0 to 70. They'll notice 70 to 100 though, and they'll for sure notice you when you get to 100.
Oh yeah. If you want to win and if you want to succeed in your life, you got to keep score. Just like if you're trying to lose weight, you're going to step on the scale every once in a while to see what your progress is. In trying to grow a business and trying to, again, create your personal happiness and self-growth, we need to step on the scale. We need to see how we're doing and keep score of where we're at. We need to set that benchmark to really know how well we're doing. So the third talking point that we're going to be going over is actually this book, The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. The first chapter, the first agreement, is be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity, say only what you mean, avoid using words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Sean, when you hear that, what's your opinion on that? What's your takeaways?
Actions speak louder than words. This is just the first thought that comes to my mind, but
I agree.
Actions speak louder than words, but you need to tell somebody that you're going to do an action and then follow through. So they go hand in hand.
I think your word is creating your trust for other people. When you say that you're going to do something and then you do it, they trust, and then they know that the next time you say you're going to do something, you're probably going to follow through. Whereas if you say, hey, I'll be there, and you don't show up, the next time you tell them you're going to be there, they may be like, okay, I'll believe it when I see it. So being impeccable with your word is extremely powerful and creates a good relationship or a good understanding of someone to yourself.
Another part of that is, I believe, is self-talk. It's not talked about very often, and for a very long time, well, to backtrack, I've never been a negative self-talker. I've never, deliberately tried to put myself down or anything like that. But for the longest time throughout high school and college, I was never a positive talker either. So I was kind of sitting on top of the fence. I knew I wasn't want to be a negative person, but I didn't have that motivation or that fire to push me over the other side of the fence to be a positive self-talker.
Did you have self-talk?
I honestly don't know. Because being on top of the fence, I think the debate was safer to have nothing. I disagree now.
Yeah.
I see it in my life now.
I can see how you would think that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
It was, a very weird space to be at because some people you're just like, I can't believe that they're talking so negatively about people and about themselves, and other people I'm like, man, I wish I could talk positively like that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something I've been working on, getting over ever since graduating college. Really, I've noticed a big difference in that aspect of my life and how that has transformed me into being a better person.
Yeah, good for you. So the second of the agreements is don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. My takeaway from that is that you never know what others are going through. You never know their true meaning or reason as to, let's say if someone's turning you down, you never know that true reason as to why they are saying no to you. And although we may sometimes try to dig in to understand it, and in some scenarios it's just very inappropriate to do so. And so give them, I guess, the benefit of the doubt and know that they may be trying to let you down in the softest way possible. They may be trying to work with you, or maybe they really want to say yes, but they can't just take you up on your offer.
I have noticed that people in our society is just a little bit more guarded. So whatever personal issues may be going on in somebody else's life, the truth is 20 years ago, they probably were more open to tell you about it. Like, hey, I got something going on, it's not the right time. Now, they really don't want to share their personal experiences, what's going on with their life. Some people may just not want to share that. How many times have you gone to a friend's house unannounced?
That used to be normal.
Yeah, it used to be normal, and now it's like, oh,
Yeah,
why are you here? So it's kind of crazy how things
That's
change over
interesting.
time.
Yeah. A piece of advice that was given to me by someone who was very close in my life said that if someone rejects an opportunity that I have offered them, they say no. I need to know and I need to realize that they're not saying no to me, they're saying no to the opportunity. They're either not looking for help in that area, or the opportunity is something that they just don't feel that they need. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. If you're unsure of something, it just makes sense to ask a question to get that clearly communicated idea. That way, both of you are on the same page and clearly understanding each other. Don't ever assume, or else you'll make an ass out of you and me. The fourth of the 4 agreements is always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best, and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret.
An analogy I like to use for this is just leave it all on the field.
Of course.
With playing sports, it resonates with me, and at the end of the game, if I felt like I could go out and play another game or a pickup game of basketball or something like that, I know that I did not do my best. I didn't give my best effort. I'm not worn out. So I did not give my team the best chance to win.
Be relentless. You don't always have to love the hard work that you have to put in. You just have to love the end result. And so by doing your best and putting in all that work, you may not love the process of getting towards success like we talked about before, but that success is going to be so sweet. So in conclusion, and going over the 3 talking points that we touched on, internal motivation and drive, planning, creating a vision, and goal setting. And then the third was the 4 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. What are some key takeaways that you've picked up on, Sean?
Tom, it takes time to properly prepare for success. Planning doesn't happen overnight. It often happens, over a period of time. I find my most successful type of planning, I have to sit in a room by myself, super quiet room, and just think of what I really want and then how I can take the steps necessary to get what I want.
Yeah, you're creating your vision. You're also keeping score for yourself. We've touched on multiple times that winners keep score. It's very important to, again, make sure you know where you are now, where you came from, and where you're going. It's extremely important in the process.
Yeah, in terms of you just want to keep track of the progress that you are having. If you don't keep track of the progress, you're not going to know where you are and how long it's going to take you to achieve your goal.
Yeah, personal happiness is not something that is always easy to achieve. I know people in my life that definitely struggle in achieving personal happiness, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Just know that it comes easier for some folks, and it's more difficult for others. We're all different, but at the end of the day, we can all achieve it. Well, our action item this week is we would love, if you do choose so again, for you guys to create a 1-year goal. Then in creating that goal, we want it to be a SMART goal. So break it down into monthly goals that will help you achieve that year goal. Make it specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. Winners keep score. So again, keep score on your progress. Make sure that you're stepping on that scale to always check your progress, always see where you're at and how you're doing.
Thank you for tuning in to Grind, the channel where we talk about the real ideas that help people grow personally, professionally, and financially.
We hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If you did, make sure to like the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, of course. And if it's any of a personal matter or you're wanting to connect with us one-on-one, be sure to email us at grind@theamericagroup.com. We'll see you next week. Keep grinding.